Hello, I am Joshua P. Warren, and I've decided to give you a short tour of some of the strange things that I have here in my house right now. And that's because it's the end of the year, and pretty soon we're going to be doing some renovating and redecorating. I just bought this house last year. And so some of these objects that I have out right now, they'll be in storage for a little while. It'll be kind of like a revolving display. Some things will actually end up being put on display at public exhibits and in museums. So I figured I'd just give you a little taste of some of the things that I surround myself with. And even though it is Christmas time, this is not meant to be a Christmas theme necessarily. It's just that it's, the end of the year. So naturally we're going to have some Christmas stuff out. So I hope that you enjoy this. All right, so we're just going to start here on this one wall. And you can see that I have some space-oriented items. This is a replica of the golden record that was put on the Voyager spacecraft and sent out into the universe. This is a replica of the Pioneer plaque, and you can't really see it very well because of the reflections of the surface or off the surface, but it's engraved with various information that theoretically aliens might be able to interpret if they ever encountered those things so that they could learn more about humans and our relationship to Earth. Just below that is actually a really cool picture I'm proud of. My friend Corby Waste, who works at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory, took me on a behind-the-scenes tour back in 2019 when they were working on the Mars rover called Perseverance, which is now on Mars. So that's me with the Mars rover. I got to see this extremely expensive, complicated machine right there in front of me that is now exploring the surface of Mars. By the way, this is a piece of art done by my friend Santero David Longley. It's magnificent. He is an expert in sacred geometry, and he's always trying to create these intricate patterns that almost act like spiritual antennas or magnifiers of some kind. All right, so here's just one of my little bars. I don't tap into that as much as you would think, which is why I'm still alive. Now, this is kind of weird. One time, my wife Lauren and I, we ordered a Buddha statue, and when we received it, the head had gotten broken. And we had a problem with the return, and so we decided we would just decorate it with this kind of radiant fixture in place of the head. And then also I have this large cube of selenite sitting on his lap. And according to crystal practitioner selenite, it neutralizes negativity and stabilizes all the energy of any room. So I've got some Vegas-y stuff here, like the fronts of some slot machines. I love old Vegas stuff. That's where I am, of course. I'm not going to tell you everything. I'm going to leave some mysteries. That sign right there is a reference to a very famous classic movie. See if you can figure it out. I'm not going to tell you what movie it's from. You can leave it in the comments below if you'd like. Save everybody else some time. This is just a cool map that shows some of the locations of various cryptids that have been reported around the United States. This is a didgeridoo from Australia. I have all kinds of unusual musical instruments. I like things that make noise. This is a book that was, you can barely see it back there, but basically this is a book that I participated in creating through like a Kickstarter thing, and it's very elaborate. And basically, you can look this up online. It shows you everything you need to restart humanity from scratch. If everything went wrong and there was some kind of, like a nuclear holocaust. I have a Teddy Ruxpin here because when I was a kid, I wanted a Teddy Ruxpin, and my mom and dad just bought me this little Teddy Ruxpin ripoff. So I never got my Teddy Ruxpin. I told my wife that story as an adult, and she's so tender-hearted, she went out and bought a Teddy Ruxpin for me and immediately resolved all of my childhood issues. So that's a perfectly working, functional Teddy Ruxpin. This is, I believe, a depiction of a Hindu divine creature called a Garuda. And it originates from Bali, a very exotic island. We actually bought this in Boulder City, Nevada, where I have the haunted Boulder City Ghost and UFO tour. We walked in and we saw this. We didn't know what it was, but we just loved the drama and the energy around it. And so, like I say, I believe that is Garuda, but I'm not sure. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Also, down the road here from Vegas is a little town called Baker, and they have the world's largest thermometer. And it's, I can't remember how tall it is, but that's a little model of it here. And it's really, really, really tall. And it's fully functional, but every once in a while they have to remodel it. So I actually bought one of the bulbs from the world's tallest thermometer. And that's a pretty obscure thing to have. And a snow globe that has the world's tallest thermometer inside of it. Another movie reference right there. The Big Kahuna Burger. I'll let you figure out what that is all about. This is a depiction of a ghost coming out of a mirror, and it looked a lot cooler in the ad online. Not so cool when I got it, but I still love it. As you'll see in a minute, it has a special place in my heart because of one of my most valued possessions I'm going to be sharing with you. This is a hookah that I won in a raffle. And I just had a feeling I was going to win. There were hundreds of people. This was Halloween night, and I was at a big party in Vegas, and I've never even used the hookah, but it's a nice one. Now, if you listen to my show, Strange Things, my podcast, you've heard me talk about my new buddy, Kennedy. Kennedy, the ventriloquial figure. I haven't had him long. I think I just got him a couple months ago. But a few years ago, he was sent to George Norrie and Tom Danheiser of Coast to Coast AM from a listener who said that this doll had a spirit. And we didn't really know much more about it, but the person said, I think he belongs with you. I don't know what to do with him. So after George and Tom got him, all these weird things started happening to them, and eventually they said, you know what, we think Joshua P. Warren should have this. So Kennedy is now the newest member of our home, and as you can see, Lauren has decked him out for the holidays. He doesn't usually wear that hat, but you might want to say hello because he might be able to see you through your screen. He has those kinds of eyes, and I think he has a traveling spirit. Of course, we've got to have our Santa Claus there below our lucky 777s. That's a big staple of Vegas. And this year I get to be Santa's little Chippendales helper. So if anybody tells you that I don't have an ego, just remind them I have a little pillow of myself in my house. Lauren loves these little Christmas blow molds. So we got Rudolph and Frosty there. One of the things that at some point will be put on public display is this wheelchair. This wheelchair was on the History Channel, and it supposedly was the wheelchair that President Franklin D. Roosevelt used at one of the conventions. And it is haunted. I have a lot of stories. I've talked about this on my podcast, Strange Things. Right now there's a visitor center being put together in Boulder City, and that's probably where it's going to be loaned and put on display for a little while in the near future. Okay, how about this sign? Who knows what famous movie this sign was featured in, huh? It looks a lot like it did the way it's lit. A lot like it did on screen. Like I say, you can leave it in the comments below. Of course, I have some fine Japanese swords. No collection is complete without that. The katana, the wakizashi, the tanto. One of the things that I think personally is most obscure, that I'm most proud to have, is this piece of the backdrop from the set of Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space. It's just one of those things where I stumbled into this antique store at the right time, and there it was, and I was just like, name your price. Next to it is this this bottle of liquor that my buddy brought for me. He got it in Japan, and yep, that's a Viper in there. And no, I have not taken a swig from that. Next to it, I have a little monkey skull that I picked up from a buddy who has an oddity shop. I've got the Lucky Maneki Neko cat in the background. This is an award that I received from the Fortean Film Festival in England for a short film that I made called OUFOs, A New Discovery, which you can watch on YouTube. And this is a really cool little electrostatic detector that I use sometimes on investigations by Paranologies. It's very simple to use. Once you turn it on, you just sit it somewhere, and if an electrostatic field moves near it, then these little bars will light up and kind of show you the direction the field is moving. So I recommend everybody get one of those. And then this is a depiction of the statue from the Hoover Dam. There are actually two statues sort of like this. The winged figures of the Republic, I think, or something like that. And this is also depicted over the entrance to Boulder City, the historic district. So it's kind of a cool, angelic, divine-looking being. Over here, I have got my monkey's paw. If you know the story of the monkey's paw, but that's actually not a real monkey's paw. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's not a real monkey's paw. It just looks really cool. This is a replica of a Gigantopithecus jaw, the largest ape that ever lived. So we have a lot of kind of Bigfoot and ancient stuff and fossil stuff over here. Of course, a lot of people believe that Nessie, the Loch Ness Monster, was actually, or is actually a plesiosaur, or actually a plesiosaur. And so this is a real plesiosaur tooth. It's millions of years old. This is one that's out of the case, though. So that's a significant tooth, don't you think? So I have a variety of fossils here. One thing that I love to share with guests when they come over is this box. All right, let me show you what this box is. This box is based on Schrodinger's cat, the principle of quantum physics, saying that theoretically, if you have a cat in here and there's maybe some type of random atom that's going to determine if the cat lives or dies, the cat is neither alive nor dead until you look inside. He's in a cat state. So there is a cat in here. What do you think? Is the cat going to be alive or dead? Nobody knows. Are you ready? Let's see. Oh, he's dead. Sorry. Let's try it one more time. All right, this time, do you think he's going to be alive or dead? He's still dead. Not his day, I guess. Got some interesting figures. One of my favorite old movie monsters is the Wolfman. Got a Wolfman doll. Have one of the figures from Creepshow. Of course, a Ghostbusters trap. Got to have that. I have some sand that I collected at the Roswell crash site, as well as a reproduction of what some say a piece of the debris looked like that had some of these kind of weird hieroglyphics. When I was a teenager, I wrote this children's book called The Lonely Amoeba, kind of like a Dr. Seuss book. And my wife, Lauren, loved at the time to make these little figures out of the characters in the book that were drawn by my buddy Tim Peterson. So there's There's Emo Amoeba, if I can get a good angle on him. There's Emo, Larry the Hairy Paramecium, Gina Euglena. The bad guy is the Hydra. But below that is certainly one of my most prized possessions. It probably belongs in the Smithsonian. This is Dr. Raymond Moody's original Mantium mirror. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Dr. Moody. He wrote the book Life After Life. He coined the phrase near-death experience and tunnel of light. And he modernized what's known as the Mantium technique. And he took this mirror all around the world and did demonstrations and seminars for people and taught them how to gaze into this mirror to have a spiritual encounter. So they would look into this mirror and they would see the apparition of a deceased loved one, and then that apparition would often emerge from the mirror. So thousands of people around the world have seen ghosts come out of this mirror. When I got it, I was producing a workshop with Dr. Moody, and Rosemary Ellen Guiley was there, and Mark Nesbitt, and all kinds of well-known people. So you might say, well, why on earth is that sitting on the floor down there? Well, that's because I told you we're in the process of getting ready to sort of redecorate everything, and it's going to be professionally hung on the wall. But for the time being, I was afraid that it might fall off the wall and get hurt, so cracked or damaged. So we are currently just keeping it right now sitting on the floor, so it'll be nice and secure, just in case there's an earthquake or something. That is an Appalachian Mountain dulcimer that I enjoy playing for fun from time to time. Of course, you got some more Christmas stuff. Little Elfie Guy. That is a tree of evil eyes. And this is a rare old magic trick. I love collecting old magic tricks, especially here in Vegas. And maybe someday I'll perform that trick for you. Behind it is a lantern. Some of you may remember a story I told one time about Bonnie Springs, this old tourist attraction which is no longer around. And it was owned by this woman, Miss Bonnie, and that was her personal lantern that she kept in her house. And it has a lot of spiritual energy around it. This is a fortune-telling kit from 1913. I think it's pretty obscure. And it comes from San Francisco. And it's got all these little sticks in it. And you pull them out and you interpret the stick to read somebody's fortune. Very cool. By the way, my sister bought me that flask for my birthday this year. How wild is that? Of course, a lot of things that provide sacred energy here. Another evil eye ornament. Knickknacks we picked up here and there. A lot of different gemstones that I think have power. This is a little kind of hanky I used to use in a magic trick that I would perform all the time, where I would make it disappear and reappear and do all kinds of funny things with it. And that was when I met Lauren. That was one of the first things I did, was show her a trick with that. And so she enshrined it in that little shadow box. My goodness. Obviously, I can't go over everything here. I believe these are called witch stones that Lauren collected when we were in Puerto Rico. These are stones that naturally have that sometimes almost perfect hole in them. I'm not sure how those are even formed naturally. That is a Calabash Gourd. For those of you who are watching who know what Calabash seafood is, which comes from the coast of North Carolina and part of South Carolina as well. The Calabash seafood was named after the Calabash Gourd, they say, because they used to grow in the area. It's kind of it's really cool because it functions as a drinking container, like a canteen. Here we have a little feng shui compass. I'm going to talk a little bit more about feng shui in a bit. Lauren is extremely crafty and skilled, and so you may have heard me talk on the podcast about her creating for my birthday this model of the Flying Dutchman, the famous ghost ship. And it took her weeks, if not more, to secretly assemble hundreds of pieces and reveal this Flying Dutchman model to me for my birthday. So isn't that amazing? How would you like to see that thing floating up toward your ship when you're sailing out there at night, huh? All right, next we have some Egyptian stuff. This is a representation of the Egyptian, I guess he's a god named Bes. He's like a little elf that looks after you. And I don't know the names of all the Egyptian gods, but we've got a nice little collection of those. Of course, I'm a big fan of Indiana Jones, so my buddy C. Eric Scott recently bought me this tiki mug, which is modeled after Indiana Jones, after the idol in Raiders of the Lost Ark. So there's a pretty good rendition of Harrison Ford, his Indiana Jones' Lucky Lighter from the Last Crusade. There's the bad guy that some people tell me I look like when I wear my black hat. My friend Forrest, he brought me this little doll from Bulgaria, I think, and it's supposed to ward off evil spirits and protect you. We have a lot of protective stuff like that around here. I'm a big fan of Superman. So this is an actual life mask made of Christopher Reeve. He was my favorite Superman. And I have got some authentic kryptonite from, this is screen-used kryptonite from the movie Superman Returns. Got a certificate there, hero prop. And so I have a variety of cool Superman stuff. I also have been, of course, always a big fan of Jack Nicholson's acting. Of course, I was recently at the Stanley Hotel where Stephen King was inspired to write The Shining. That is a life mask of Jack Nicholson. And actually, speaking of life masks, I recently also acquired a life mask of this guy. Who knows who that is? Not an actor. That is George Washington. Yeah, General George Washington, who became the first president of the United States. All right, so across from the life mask of Jack Nicholson, I have this little depiction of the genius Nikola Tesla. All people who've inspired me in one way or another, and that is a replica of the infamous Hope Diamond that used to be on display at my museum in Asheville, North Carolina. This is a map of Transylvania that I actually bought when I was in Transylvania, in Romania, back in 2012, I think. This is an animatronic Elvis Presley head. I know it doesn't look a lot like Elvis, but this is actually a very rare thing, and it works. So sometime I'll do another video where I turn him on and let you see what the animatronic Elvis head does. Of course, being Christmas time, we got a variety of Christmas thingies here. This is what helps us calm down and meditate. We have also in the Buddha pose, Yoda. And Yoda does not usually wear a top hat, but Lauren thought that since it was Christmas time, it would be fitting to give him a little seasonal top hat with a sprig of holly. And so Yoda sits there, and he's constantly meditating and forming an aura of peace in this room as the water trickles by. Very relaxing. But peeking right over his shoulder is the mischievous Stay Puft Marshmallow Man. Now, believe it or not, this guy is taller than me. Yes, he is from Mars Attacks. We have a little, since it's Christmas time right now, we have a little scene from Christmas Carol with Scrooge and some of the ghosts. I recently told this strange story on my podcast called Strange Things about this this Jesus image that Lauren and I found at this oddity shop in Denver, Colorado. And we like to collect these images because you can't probably tell too much, but it's one of those that is 3D, and if you shift to different perspectives, it has like a lenticular lens on it, and so it really pops out. We're starting to collect those, and we bought it and told them to ship it to us, and all kinds of weird things happened in the shipping process. By the time we got it, the owner of the oddity shop said, "I hope your house isn't cursed," but nope, so far so good. But if you want to know the whole story, you got to go listen to the podcast I did about it. We have a giraffe here, and that's because that this giraffe named Ozzy painted that picture. Yeah, that's a painting by a giraffe. Very few people have a giraffe painting of that size. Usually they cut these up into small pieces and sell them off bit by bit, but I convinced the people at the Habitat to keep it intact and let me buy the whole thing. So Lauren and I are very, very happy of that. It's a memory of a good day. This is, of course, a collection of some beautiful butterflies. We know a guy who specializes in those. This is a feng shui mirror called a bagua, and there are different types of them. They're meant to direct and redirect positive and negative energies. And to be honest with you, I'm not certain this is actually the best place to position this bagua mirror. I'm going to have to go back and do some research. We might need to put it somewhere else, but that's what that is. This is my favorite Tesla coil. I had it specially extended. I had carpenters make a base for it. I bought extra coils for it. There's no other Tesla coil set up quite like this. In fact, it's been on TV. It was on Ghost Adventures. We did an investigation Halloween night on the Travel Channel, and Zach Bagans was there with all the guys, and we cranked this thing up, and Darren Evans was there, and put on quite a show. Zach was pretty freaked out by this Tesla coil. Now, right behind it, we have a print that we bought in Laguna Beach, California, by Dr. Seuss. I've always been a huge fan of Dr. Seuss. This is the only Dr. Seuss print that I've got. And it's called The Beekeepers, and it came out of this book, or it was done for this book, called Did I Ever Tell You How Lucky You Are? And I'd never heard of this particular Dr. Seuss book until I got that print, but now it's one of my favorites. And you can see that this is why that image was created by Dr. Seuss. It was to provide this illustration in this book. And basically my interpretation of what's going on here is that one guy, he's like the real scientist who's up there watching the bee, and behind him is a guy watching him, and behind that guy is another guy watching him, and this goes, and basically it shows you how when you talk to so-called experts, a lot of times it's like the telephone game. Instead of them being the one out there doing the actual field research, they are just basically telling you what the other guy did, and then somebody else tells you what that guy did. And that's why it's important to go out and try to do your own research when you can. My buddy, Jim Mars, was the greatest conspiracy theorist and historian of all time. And we were really good friends. He was well known for always wearing a fedora. And the last time I saw him, I got to spend the night at his house in Texas, and I convinced him to sell me one of his fedoras and autograph it, which he did. And so this is Jim's fedora that he wore, as you can see in this picture, when he climbed the pyramid at Chichen Itza, and I had him write a little note verifying that and signing it. So he said if anybody doubts this is his hat, they can go screw themselves. And when I was in Transylvania investigating Vlad Dracula's castles, well, let me just show you. That's an actual piece of Poenari, that was Vlad's main castle. And then this is a crucifix that I bought at this little antique shop down below the street in Sighisoara, which is the city where Vlad was born. And this was used by a family for generations to ward off evil spirits. And I was able to convince them to let me take it home. And so now I It's also one of my fondest memories is collecting that. This is a vampire killing kit. I think it's pretty much run-of-the-mill. Here's some more sand that I actually purchased from somebody that comes from the ruins of Vlad's Castle. When I was in Puerto Rico for a while, there was a town where people were claiming that this chupacabra scaring the bejesus out of everybody. And one day they found this skeleton dead below somebody's house. And I had a guy who went out and convinced the locals to let me have this skeleton. So what is this? Is this a real chupacabra head? Well, we're just not certain yet. Here are some pieces. Here's actually some rocks from a UFO crash site in Puerto Rico. I have a more impressive display about these, but it's currently on loan at the Chamber of Commerce in Boulder City, Nevada. And here we have just a little Nosferatu head. Oh yes, I mentioned my buddy Santero David Longley. He gave me this authentic haw. It's sort of like a wand, but it's a ceremonial haw used in the African Yoruba tradition, and this is used to clean away evil spirits. And they say that there is actually a living spirit inside this object. So what a rare and wonderful thing to have. There's Santero Longley. And then this is also another sacred object that he created for me. And I can't remember the name of that right now, but maybe I'll do a whole segment with him about these objects one day. You know, I could easily keep going and going and going, but this has already gone too long. So let me just end with everybody's favorite guy. There he is, Carville, Art Bell's alien statue that apparently comes to life occasionally at night. And you can see he's quite tall. I think he's at least like 4 feet tall, I think. Maybe taller. Might be like 5 feet tall. I can't remember exactly. But basically, you know, when I walk over to him, he almost touches my chin. Now, he doesn't usually have a beard and a Santa hat, of course. But this is a picture of Art Bell with him. Here's a picture of Art Bell getting down on his hands and knees to sign the base of Carville. It's a close-up of that. And this is a handwritten note from Art Bell dated August 13th of 2011, where he authenticates the story behind Carville the alien. And if you have never heard this story, well, I created a whole website with the entire provenance of Carville the alien. And if you're an Art Bell fan, you've got to go check it out. You can get clear images of Carville without the Santa Claus garb, and video of him with Art Bell. Just the whole story is just really wild and magical. So go to artbellalien.com if you want to get the whole story and watch the videos, listen to the audio clips. And it's just, he's sort of like the guardian of this area. Carville keeps things safe around here. So he has always brought me good luck. And since I've attained him or obtained him, my work and podcasting and broadcasting and all that has just continued to skyrocket. So I think it has something to do with the charm of Carville the alien. All right, so there you have it, a small taste of some of the odd things that I enjoy collecting. And of course, I have so much more. I have storage units full of stuff all across the United States, seriously. So I plan to shoot some more of these little kinds of videos. So if you like this sort of stuff and you want to see more like it, please be sure to like and subscribe to this channel. Again, hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching.